Hi everyone. I promised you all that I would do something with the lovely marbled prints that Sam and I made on Sunday evening. I've taken two of the prints that are my least favourite. I've taken the one that Sam wasn't so successful with, and I sort of cut it up. I thought at first that I could cut it into ATCs, but they're just not quite big enough, so I ended up with all these bits. So I've cut it into two squares that are 2.5 by 2.5. And then I took one of the other circles that was similar to this, but it had a hole in the middle. It's where it had been glued down to the blue tack. But because we'd used so much paint and water, it had gone straight through the centre of the circle. So I've used that one as well. And you can see here, there's where it's torn. I've just secured it on the back with a bit of masking tape. It was a bit short on the edge, but I've inked around the edges of all of these squares. And I thought I'd do some kind of abstract piece. No idea where I'm really going with this, but I thought, you know, I could sort of do a page, something like that. And then I've got a load of bits. I've got a couple of punches. In fact, first of all, I thought that I could perhaps make inches with the leftover bits. And because I was a bit short on some of them, I decided to go around the edges with my corner chomper, and it did something really strange. It sort of distorted the original inchy shape, and I sort of ended up with something rather peculiar and thought, oh, blimey, right, so that didn't really work. So then I thought, what can I do with all these bits? So I got my punches out, got my small circle punch and the slightly larger one, and I just started cutting some shapes. So I've got some squares, I've got some inch circles, and some, I think these are 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, probably 1/2 inch, aren't they? And then I've got the little squares that the circles were cut out from, and I've inked around the edges of all of these. And I thought I could assemble it into some kind of abstract piece with some of the leftovers as well, and I've cut them into rectangles that I thought might be quite nice to use. I've created a background for my piece. And I did that using my Inktense block. So I just chose a few colours that tied in with the colours in the backgrounds here. So I ended up using sort of like a teal colour, a turquoise blue, and a couple of the purples. And I just scribbled all over my page and then wiped it with a baby wipe just to disperse all the colours. And the reason I'm using my Inktense blocks is because they're permanent once they're dry. You could use your chalk pastels, would be absolutely fine to use. You'd get a very similar effect, but you'd have to go over it with Mod Podge to seal it first. So I just want to arrange some of these on my page, having the bits that are torn in the centre so that I can go over them with some of my bits just to cover everything up. And so I'm going to have this something like this. I've got a corner missing on that one there, so we'll have that in the centre so that we can cover that up with something. Or do I want it there like that and I can put something over there? Quite like that actually. So I'm going to glue these down on my page. I'm going to use some of Anita's tacky glue because it's got a really fine nozzle. So I'll glue that down and then I'll come back. Okay, so those are glued on now. And then I just want to start playing with the shapes. I want to cover up some of these little boo-boos here. What can we have? Cover up that one there. I can rearrange this. I'm not gluing this down just yet. I don't have to use all of these pieces either. Something like this. And so I'm just going to continue to play until I've got something that I think is quite pleasing to my eye. and I'll come back and show you what I've ended up with. Right, so that's how my piece is looking at the moment. I've glued everything down and I've used all of the bits and pieces that I cut out. I've inked around the edge as well. I've tried to interconnect each piece so they're all adjoining. And here's my finished page, and boy, it was nearly a complete and utter disaster. I decided to use some of the tulip fabric spray paint in snow to add some splatters to my page, and rather than putting a little bit out on a piece of paper, I decided to dip my fan brush straight into the top, and obviously pulled out far too much paint, and when I splattered it I ended up with this great big dollop on the page, and I thought, oh my goodness me, what am I going to do now? So I grabbed a baby wipe and tried to mop up as much as I could, and then just smeared it all over the page, and hence I've got this lovely sort of hazy background, and I really like that. And then I went over with some much more gentle and lighter splatters. I rinsed my brush off first and then went in again, as I should have done it in the first place, and I really like that. It looks sort of like planets. I just love it. And then I've inked around the edges and I've mounted it on a piece of mixed media paper, so I can either add that to a journal or frame it, or do whatever I want to it. So I hope that's given you some ideas of how you can use up some of those salad spinner pieces. Anyway, give me a thumbs up if you like that. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and take care everyone. I'll see you all again soon, and I will be back with more ideas of how we can use these salad spinner art. Take care for now.